What if I told you that the history of board games in the United States spanned over 200 years? And no, I'm not talking about Monopoly. The American fascination with pastimes goes back to well before the founding of this nation. So let's back up. People living in North America, the indigenous first tribes people, had traditional games that they engaged in to spend their free time. The colonists, when they arrived in the New World, brought games like chess, checkers, and backgammon. But those were not commercially made, mass produced American board games. Then the year 1822, a New York based firm called F&R Lockwood produced a game called A Traveler's Tour of the United States. And to be fair, that's pretty understandable given the age of our country. We were still young, and it made sense that there was an exploration of our nation and how big we were, how big we could get, what we wanted out of life, and what we thought life owed us as a blooming nation. The game was a map of the United States, and at the time was only 24. It had an educational component. Players would travel around the map on a hand colored map of the US, and the goal of the game was to reach the city of New Orleans first. Can you imagine that? In a modern world where we have board games where you build estates in Victorian England, or you are planting crops in the fields, or you are exploring vast wastelands on intergalactic planets. Here, it's all about geography. And what do you know about this country? In 1822, you could just sit around the table or around the fire hearth and say, let's travel across America. Now, obviously, the nature of board games would change. We would see more morality games with teaching values and virtues. In the 1830s and 40s, we would see the game Mansions of Happiness, where players would roll and move around the spiral board, where they would land and explore all the various stages of life, including death. So there was always an educational component to board games in the US. And there was a practical side as we explored what it meant to be American and how we chose to spend our free time. So, games equaled entertainment plus education plus morality prior to the American Civil War. Afterwards, the company Milton Bradley would come along and give us new games where we would explore more entertaining themes, as it were. So, what's the takeaway? American board games didn't begin with Monopoly. They began with a young nation using cardboard, maps, and pieces put together to explore our young nation. And honestly, that's one of the things that I absolutely love about board games, our hobby, and our community is that you learn so much about culture. You can learn a lot about the people that you choose to sit across the table with this shared experience. I'm PJ with Meeple to Meeple, and this is our Throwback Thursday. What board game do you want me to dig into next? Post them in the comments below, and as always, be kind to each other, and let's play more games across the country and the world.